They call my God Satan and wish to use wood and stone against the devotees. They fail so much and blame his nature, but that is when they are not devotees. In potential and actuality is my overture. And the Book of the Threshold, Part 1. Oh, maybe that's not the next video, but let's go back and say some comments on some other stuff. And perhaps this playlist, because of the breaks in some of the videos, is not so much for some people, but if one is patient and one listens and reflects, then it's okay, what's the rhyme going to be next, or what's he going to say next? That's, anyways, Aleister Crowley, father of sex magic, prophet, and 60s cult icon. I believe this video was on the Black Witch Coven channel. In the end, a person needs, on some level, to be a parent. People looking towards Aleister Crowley need to understand the making and breaking of taboos, as well as other techniques, rather than just treating Thelema as a do-what-you-want way of life. The Golden Dawn was not so much weak as it was too Christian and one-sided. Magic was magic, and Aleister Crowley was willing to manipulate and take his occult power by how and by whom it was available. People nowadays are bold enough to vandalize the Abbey of Thelema, but the sacred site remains. Okay, maybe that wasn't what I was going to say, but repression is often not fixed at all by unconstrained expression. The more you break boundaries, the further a person has to go in order to have that shock. Just because a person is unaware of the metaphysical, it doesn't mean that demons and other spiritual things are not being communicated with. All cults are mind control, and it is easy to find some of the benefit of a man like Aleister Crowley, who synthesized and practiced a philosophy of world spirituality. And Norse sorcery, Asatru, Thor, and blood rites, as Bjorn Torval. And some of the rune languages actually have a j, but Norse, there's fewer runes, or at least the older Norse, so fewer sounds. Almost every culture divided their idea of divinity and attributed weakness and our wrongness to the deity. Those are people's own projections of their own issues, and demons drive that. Not every voice or impulse inside you, or even of external metaphysical beings, are gods and goddesses. Shayateen min al jinn, yes. Well, you have your own psychology too. The forces of nature may be connected to spiritual forces, but don't expect them to answer any ritual ever. Accept your feelings to answer your rituals, but your experience can be better directed with practice. There are 16 Icelandic Norse runes rather than the usual 24. Matthew Lawrence is supposed to have a criminal record outside of Utah. Maybe that is why he wasn't driving for a couple years. I don't know how trustworthy drunken forest visions are, but for a man like him, well, experience with legal and illegal drugs, why does Eric Arkalas, Coeting as he is called, at one time tell you not to read or write during a ritual, and then turn around to claim he has hour-long sessions of demons dictating books to him? How is this traditions of his ancestors our only left-hand path? It is neither received by tradition nor a way of turning to another authority on how you live your life. Certain paths are not growing as fast as people claim they are. Certain paths are not devoid of what they accuse the church and Jews of. having no spiritual path is more associated in reality with crime than having an alternative or supposedly orthodox and orthoprax path. And I myself have, in a trance, written things down, and you can maintain your trance, but very few people can do that. But going back and forth on the issue implies a lack of honesty. So in Surah 87, I said something about how Muhammad specifically mentioned that the Zoroastrians, Persian religion, no variation of the Mazdaean faith worships fire or Satan. Zarathustra worshipped Allah alone, but most of the Achaemenian, some after them, worshipped saints, angels, amulets. Yazidi do call Malik Tao's shaitan, but it means cast out of a place and a vestin. I mean, admit they're Satanists. You don't need to be PC. Oh, well, they're not really Satanists, but the angels they worship are by definition shayateen min al-jinn. So, their roots go back to almost 12,000 years in Syria to northern Arabia. And it was less widespread 30,000 years ago and before that. But their fragmented revelation from the jinn is less than 5,800 years ago. Prophet Muhammad mentioned Hindu, Chinese, and even European as source of spiritual knowledge. Okay, I didn't edit some of these comments, so I should have. Some of the household false gods of Mecca and shrines in the Arabian desert survived to either be left alone or to be found later. And nowadays, the Saudi Arabian government is more likely to protect a ancient idolatrous shrine than they are to protect a masjid. Except for Mecca and Medina. Other than that, they'll even destroy it themselves. A dripping spring of Aini Tabuk that they drank of on the way to was a test that proved, kind of like the Gideon thing, he who drinks from the hand, and was it Gideon or who was it? On the way to test proved that all but two of the army was ready for the miraculous flow of the oasis that presaged the fulfillment of the prophecy of a land being green and a city forming there. Because there's a prophecy that such things will happen. The end times, the empty quarter will not be so much a desert anymore. What Prophet Muhammad said after Umar bin Affan, proving that all the gold for Jaysh ul-Usra, Army of Difficulty, and Ghazwa at Tabuk doesn't justify his later mistakes, but it does show that Uthman's later sins were to never overshadow what he did then. Okay. The Book of the Threshold, Part 1. The Book of the Threshold, Part 2. Satanic Prayer. I am a stone. I don't know. I'll just say, I am a stone, I am a stone, I am a stone, I am a stone, I am a stone. And that will, I'll let that be for the next one.